Welcome to Dingers and Dashers. My name is Josh alongside my co host Adam. It is a wonderful day to talk all thing Nationals baseball. And Adam, let's get right to it. Before we begin, we are back from the break. We went on a little couple weeks of a break, recharging as the Caps come down the home stretch. Now we're here to cover the last part of the season, and we are well rested and ready to ramp up for baseball season. So let's get right into the Nationals. And Adam, the Nats are actually putting together a decent spring training for themselves. What have you seen and what have you liked?
Yeah, Josh, just to say it's wonderful to be back again. Yeah, I actually went down to spring training to see it for myself. A little 2-week vacation down to Florida. Saw some World Baseball Classic games, some national spring training, a bunch of national spring training. And Josh, so far I've liked what I've seen from a couple standout players. And Josh, what I've liked so far in the national spring training is that the guys that are doing well are guys that needed to prove themselves. And the guys that are doing poorly and show some worrisome factors are guys that maybe needed to prove themselves less and are more likely to already be starters. So I got guys like Brady House and Jake Irvin as my two standout players so far this spring training. Brady House with an average of 438, 3 home runs, 11 RBIs, and a 1.36 OPS. He's been outstanding. Brady House, I mean, he's the tall guy. I was at the game and he is a giant, Josh. And this guy has no reason not to be a standout player in this season for the Nationals. I think if the team is playing well, if the team has good energy, Brady House will be a big player for the Nationals. It's all about the Nationals. James Wood last season, the reason he played so well in the first half, not the second half, the Nationals were playing with energy in the first half because they're nothing to lose right now. They're not way far behind. They're not a losing team. So nothing to lose. They're all going to play well. When you go to the second half and you're not such a good team, you're in the dumps, you're calling up guys, you're less likely to have the energy boost that the Nationals need.
Absolutely. The Nats, what they need in order to maintain that energy over 162 games is they need to build culture. They don't have a lot of culture in that locker room right now. Sure, some of the guys are friends, but there's no culture. We were watching the World Baseball Classic, Team Venezuela winning last night. They have real culture behind them, and it's not just the culture where they come from in their country. It's the culture that they have a common belief and a common goal they're working towards, and they work with each other every single day, every single game, inning, pitch, at bat, you name it, and they get there. So the Nats had that the first half of last year. It was okay, we're actually going to do maybe okay this year. Let's do better than we did last season. We have guys like James Wood now. Let's go, and then they kind of lost that energy. So hopefully now Brady House can step up because he worried me a lot last year. He did not play well when he came up. And another name that worried me, Jake Irvin, who's having a great spring training, 13.1 innings pitched, 1.35 ERA. And that actually brings into a larger theme in that the Nats actually were the best pitching staff in spring training in the MLB this year. It was it was unbelievable to see. The Washington Nationals averaged a 2.97 ERA. The next closest one was the Astros, 3.16. The Nats were the only sub 3 ERA team, which is earned run average, in the MLB in spring training, finishing with a 13-7 record. And I know spring training does not dictate how the regular season goes, but that has to be something you look at and feel good about. That the Nats ranked the worst pitching staff in the MLB. They're projected this year to be the worst pitching staff in the MLB. They have something to prove. They have that thing that they're fighting for. The Nats right now are put at a 0% chance to win the World Series. And I understand that it's not our year to win the World Series. I understand that. But at the same time, the Nats are being absolutely discounted right now. So yeah, you have nothing to lose. You go out there, a new front office is willing to really get behind your players. There is talent on the roster. There's people in DC waiting to see good baseball from the home team. The Nats, it's their job this year to show that maybe it's not our year, but it's realistic to think that in 5 to 10 seasons, it can be our year. It's realistic to think that we will be better than we were next season. And it's realistic to think that we can maintain a 500 clip through stretches of the season this year and not fall apart in an 11-game losing streak dumpster fire like we did last season.
Yeah, Josh, that nothing to lose attitude we saw in the WBC, going to make another comparison to Team Italy, they really weren't expected to do anything, which is kind of crazy to me because they had so many standout MLB players. But they played with that nothing to lose mentality. They built a great culture with their home run celebration, the espresso shot. But the Nationals did that when they won the World Series in 2019. They built the culture around a celebration. They did it with their home run dances, and you saw Adam Eaton, Juan Soto, all these guys, Anthony Rendon, with their home run dance celebrations, the energy they brought to the team, that's something that I think the Washington Nationals can pick up. There's no reason why not. You got nothing to lose. Nobody's going to make fun of you for bringing some culture to the Washington Nationals. So I think that's something that you need to start with, Josh.
Absolutely. And on top of that, sure, you will look to your stars. You will look to your James Wood. You will look to your Dylan Cruz, CJ Abrams to carry you, as we did in the 2019 World Series with Juan Soto, Anthony Rendon. But at the same time, there's other guys on the team. I'll give you a Gerardo Parra, who's actually the first base coach for Team Venezuela, the winning World Baseball Classic team. He brought in the Baby Shark song. If you have never seen it, I'm sure if you're watching this podcast, you know about 2019 Baby Shark. But if not, go look up Nationals Baby Shark on YouTube. That brought culture. And sure, he wasn't the most instrumental piece to winning the World Series. He contributed because as much as it matters what you do on the field, off the field kind of dictates that as well.
Yeah, totally, Josh. And Gerardo Parra, somebody who was fired as the Nationals first base coach recently, but decided to win it with Venezuela instead.
I mean, yeah, that does bring us to one thing to look at for the Nats this season. And something they were extraordinarily terrible at last season was base running. The amount of times they got picked off, caught stealing bad reads, like ran into line out double plays, it was egregious. So I agree. You got to clean house with that coaching staff, especially the base coaches. But we will not forget what Gerardo Parra did for the Washington Nationals in DC. And on top of that, too, Adam, opening day is like here. All right. Today is Wednesday. Tomorrow's Thursday. 1 week from tomorrow, the Nats have their first game, 2:20 against the Chicago Cubs, opening it up on the road this year. It's going to be tough because here's the thing. The Nats are going to win their first game.
That's going to be a fun series. The Cubs always pack their
It's going to be
house.
fun. And it's going to be packed at Wrigley Field for sure after going very far in the playoffs last year as the Cubs. PCA, Seiya Suzuki, they're all going to be there and ready to go. But the thing to look at is when can we get an accurate read of the Washington Nationals? Because they're going to win their first game, and everyone's going to say, give them a week. They're going to be 1-7. Or they're going to lose their first 3 games, and they're going to say, here we go again. I think that it's important before the season starts to establish a timeline of when you can accurately make assessments about the Washington Nationals as a whole in the season. I think that it's impossible to do it after the first game, after the first series, after the first week, right? The Nats were 19-31 to start the year they won the World Series. So clearly, the first couple games aren't the dictator. But I think at the same time, it's important to have reactions to those games. And although you're not going to predict where the season goes off of 2 series to start the year, I think that the Nats can be judged after those games. And I think there's an important distinction there between assessed and judged. So I would say a month into the season is when you can make your first concrete assessment about the Nats, but I think you could judge anything that they do on the field or in any game.
Yeah, Josh, I totally agree. And I think the biggest judgment that we can make on the Nationals that'll dictate our assessment of the season is that bullpen. You talked about the pitching staff. So worried about the starting rotation as I am with the bullpen. If the Nationals bullpen comes out strong, they come out really hot like they are in spring training right now, Josh, I think we can make a better assessment that the Nationals will have a better year than last year. I think it's all about the way that the bullpen's able to back up the starting rotation, who's probably going to have guys pitching like, hopefully, 5 innings, 2 runs. That's what you're going to hope for. And if that bullpen can pitch well, Josh, I think we can make a better assessment of where the Washington Nationals are going to be.
Definitely. The Nats added starting pitcher Zach Little, who will also hopefully eat some innings. But at the same time, we're looking for like maybe 5 innings, 2 runs. you got a guy like Cade Cavalli in there, and Cade Cavalli last year showed us that he can go 7 scoreless, and he did that to a playoff Phillies team, I think. It was a long time ago, but I remember that game. And when you look at that, you look at how last season went for the Washington Nationals, and you see that last year they brought in all these relief pitchers. They were all gone by the end of May. They were really bad. Jorge Lopez throwing his glove into the stands out of frustration. All sorts of just bad culture you don't want to bring to DC. The Nats struggle. They bring in a bunch of nobodies. And all of a sudden, the Nats quietly built an amazing bullpen for about a month through the season. I'm not saying the Nats bullpen was phenomenal last season, but for a month, the Nats had something special. And you know why they did, Adam? It was because they had nothing to lose and everything to gain. Everyone said, you know what? You're the worst bullpen in baseball. You suck. And we did. But the relief pitchers basically said, all right, this is kind of embarrassing. We don't want to be that team. So let's go in there and pitch our asses off. And then eventually the product starts getting there. You got like Connor Pilkington, who comes out of nowhere, and he's great. A guy like Brad Lord, who's able to come out of the bullpen. Jose A. Ferrer steps up as a closer. And I know all these guys aren't on the team this year, but that was a little bit of Nats culture starting to be built last year. We're bad. We'll look for the small victories. We're not watching the games in September because we want to make the playoffs, but because we want to see Dalen Lyle play baseball. It's all about those small victories. And as the Nats start to build them up, they will build culture in DC and they will build a winning attitude.
Exactly, Josh. And before we head into our favorite trivia show, Career Path, I want to ask you a question, Josh. Are you worried at all by James Wood's lack of effort, I feel like, so far in this spring training? Not playing very well, Josh.
I'm going to ask what you mean by the word effort. Is that just is that something? Because obviously you've gotten a closer look at the Nats this spring training. Is that showing his body language doesn't look very involved? He
Yeah,
looks kind of
so
dejected, or is it just?
So I want to start off with James Wood. He's batting 156 on 32 at bats. He's at 1 home run, 4 RBIs, a .614 OPS. That's obviously not good. But yes, Josh, what I'm talking about is his body language. James Wood, to me, in the first half of the season, he looked a lot more energized. He looked like he was having more fun than he did in the second half. And that's kind of what I'm seeing out of the spring training of James Wood. He doesn't seem so energized. There's no culture around the team, and it doesn't feel like it's impacting James Wood. I want to get your take on this. Are you worried that James Wood will take this into the opening day and into the national season?
I mean, I think. Look, I think obviously everyone knows James Wood's a very laid back guy in general. He's
Yeah.
not. He's not going to be going crazy, and I kind of like that because everyone serves a role in the team. Maybe it's not James Wood's job to fire everyone up emotionally. He'll do that with how he can bat on the field. It's guys like Dylan Cruz who are going to hopefully emerge as leaders. Nasim Nunez, who's been getting a lot of playing time. Those are really the firecracker guys on the team. Um, but when it comes to James Wood, I don't think I can say I'm worried yet because it only has been 32 at bats. I'll be a total hypocrite to say that you can't judge the Nats until they've played so many games and then say, but I'm going to judge James Wood after 32 at bats
Yeah.
because for all you know, slumps come at different times. He needs to warm up in the thick of it. And again, it's his second year in the MLB. I know he's like the star in DC, but last year he was basically a rookie. So I think that it definitely can raise concerns knowing that he had a great first half, really bad second half, and now not a great start. It's a long time where we've seen mediocre performance out of James Wood now. But at the same time, you give the kid a minute. When he gets going, he's going to get going because skill is always there. Sometimes it gets buried under slumps. It gets buried under whatever stories are in the news, whatever the team's going through. But James Wood is still as skilled as he was last season when he was going crazy and having that amazing first half. So it's definitely still there. I think it's about whether the new coaches can get that out of him, whether he can get it out of himself, and whether or not we can be patient enough to stick around and see it happen.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree that I don't think it's something to worry about his quiet nature of James Wood, like that being an issue, his body language. I agree. I don't think that's an issue. From what I saw at spring training, I mean he was signing a lot of autographs to the fans. He seemed to have fun down in spring training in Florida and he was talking to all the guys, CJ Abrams, all of them. He was having a good time. What does worry me though is his lack of contact with the bat. I think James Woods he needs to dial back his power a little bit and start putting the ball in play because the Nationals don't just need home runs; they need people on base. The Nationals as a team. They didn't play together last year, the pitchers and the batters is what I'm trying to say. The pitchers, they would have one game and they would give up 2 runs to the Phillies, and the Nationals lineup would put up 1 run. Or the Nationals lineup would put up 10 runs one game, and then the Nationals rotation would give up like 8 runs, and it'd be like a 10-8 Nationals win barely. So you know what I'm saying? Like the Nationals, they need to play together, the hitters and the hitters and the pitchers. But yeah, I'm not too worried about James Wood's body language. Is what I'm trying to say.
No, you bring up the contact point, and James Wood has always struck out a lot. Even when he's been hitting well, his outs usually come in the form of a strikeout. But it reminds me of what happened with Josh Bell last season on the Nats. And obviously, unfortunately, he's not on the team this year. But Josh Bell was hitting like 150 for like the first 3 or 4 months of the season. He was doing terribly. And all of a sudden, he got hot and hit like 300 for 2 months. And the change he said he made was he stopped trying to hit a home run every time and he just tried to hit the ball. And so hopefully, and a lot of times when he wasn't trying to hit home runs, he still ended up hitting moonshot home runs. And so as James Wood matures, and he's already a very mature player for his age in terms of plate discipline, I think, and patience, I think that as James Wood continues to mature and come into his own, it's going to come very naturally.
All right, let's head into the career paths, Josh. Our favorite trivia show. I'm gonna tell you where this player played, and you're gonna have to guess him. All right, so let's start off. He started his career with the Washington Nationals in 2017 through 2022. He is a pitcher, by the way, Josh, just to let you know. So 2017 through 2022 with the Nationals. Then in 2023, he played 1 year in Korea. He actually won. He was the MVP and Cy Young of the.
Wow. All right. 2017 to 2022 pitcher. All right. So that means he was on the World Series team. Let's run through the starters real quick. It wouldn't have been Strauss. It wouldn't have been Scherzer. It wouldn't have been, um, well, it's definitely not Patrick Corbin because he's on the Rangers. Struble Cabrera, I'm pretty sure he had a long career before making it to the Nationals, and he didn't come to the Nats in 2017. Um, oh boy, this is going to be a tough one. So I'm going to assume it's a relief pitcher. Um, on the Nats. Oh, as a start. Oh, did you say he was on the Phillies last year? Oh, okay. That takes out Joe Ross. Um, interesting. Um, some names that come to mind from that 2017 to 2022 era is like Ronaldo Lopez, Eric Fetty, Lucas Giolito. Um, but it's none of them because they all went to the White Sox or the Braves for a couple seasons. Oh my gosh, Adam. Yeah. Oh, very interesting. I'm gonna just throw out. I'm gonna throw out Lucas Giolito. Yeah. I don't think I have it today. Oh my. Damn. I had no idea. For real. He was. He was. And something that actually happened a lot with like Lucas Giolito, Ronaldo Lopez, Eric Fetty, is they pitched for the Nationals, they were terrible. They left the Nats and they just found themselves and had amazing years. I'm telling you, I'm telling you, I honestly think that wearing nationals across your chest makes you like 3% worse at baseball. I don't know. I feel like you could put 90. Well, yeah, the Mets suck too. But I feel like you could put a 99 overall in MLB The Show, Shohei Ohtani in a Nats jersey, and he'd be a 96 overall. I don't know. The Nats were kind of ranked criminally low in MLB The Show this year, in my opinion. In my opinion, I am biased. They were ranked fairly low. The highest one, I can't remember right now, but like there were also things where like Ruiz, I think, was ranked higher than like Dalen Lyle or something. It was some crazy stuff that was happening. Oh yeah, one more thing to talk about with the Nats before we end today's episode is that Keibert Ruiz and Drew Millis are going to be the two big league opening days catchers this year. And Riley Adams and Harry Ford, who everyone kind of thought to be the new guy, are going to start in AAA. It's tough. Obviously, if Keibert Ruiz can find it and prove it this season, let's keep him on. If not, I think it's time to cut ties with him. But Riley Adams and Drew Millis had a really good tandem thing going last year. And then Harry Ford on top of that seems to be like he's going to be a really good catcher for the Nats. So as much as I wanted to be like, oh, I wish we could have three catchers at the same time because they all showed so much potential last year, I think it shows the Nats might have a little bit of depth at the catcher role right now. Absolutely. So for Ruiz, the mission, prove it. Even if Harry Ford's the next catcher, Ruiz, prove that you can be a DH something. He showed it for parts of last season. It's on him to show it again. With that, we will be back next week, episode dropping the day before the Nats' first game, where we will give our predictions, lay out the Nats season ahead, and talk to you more about what kind of coverage you can expect during baseball season from us. I have been Josh, that is Adam, and this was the baseball edition this week of Dingers and Dashers.